Hello and welcome. Today we are presenting to you the Cuvée Nicolas François 2007. I've asked Florent, our chief winemaker and special guest, to join me, and he will be doing the explanation of the blend and his view about the taste, and he'll give you his perspective on the harvest. So you'll get a much more detailed explanation than I can ever give you, because Florent is actually the one that makes the wine and proposes them to the tasting committee with the rest of his team, and we are very lucky to have him. Before I hand the session to Florent on all of this, I wanted to remind you of a bit of the history of Nicolas François. I know some of you have heard me say that many times, but Nicolas François is my great-great-great-grandfather. He was the one that founded Billecart-Salmon when he married my great-great-grandmother, Elizabeth Salmon. So when Nicolas François Billecart and Elizabeth Salmon married, Billecart-Salmon is created in 1818, so 202 years ago. And in his honor, we've renamed our cuvée, prestige cuvée, Nicolas François. It was our historic Brut millésimé until 1964. Then the name changed, and its reputation shot to fame in 1999 when Richard Julien and a jury of experts voted Billecart-Salmon Nicolas François equivalent 1959 Champagne of the Millennium. And if that wasn't enough, the Brut millésime 1961, now called Nicolas François, came second. So that shot to fame, but it's basically the same philosophy applied to that cuvée. That's for the bit about the history. And then Florent, I pass over to you so you can share with everyone the blend and the technique of Nicolas François 2007. Over to you.
Thank you, Mathieu. So, hello everybody. I'm very pleased to see you in this live. I am Florent, the chief winemaker. I'm going to present you the Nicolas François 2007. Let's begin by the blend. The blend is a classical, typical blend for Nicolas François. 60% Pinot Noir and 40% Chardonnay. As ever, we choose the very best parcel in our vineyard for the selection, and it includes for the Pinot Noir Mareuil-sur-Ailly, Ailly and Verzenay, not Ambonnay this year. And for the Chardonnay, there are Ménil-sur-Roger, Chouilly, and Avizin. In terms of cru ranking, there are 79% of Grand Cru. It's a huge percent. And 21% of first cru, premier cru, they are Mareuil-sur-Ailly. For the vinification, we have 85% of stainless steel tank vinification to give to the wine a pure freshness and a very very good definition of the fruit. We have 15% of wine vinified in small oak barrels to give it richness and structure. All the vinification were made at low temperature, 13 degrees C. That means 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and fermentation lasted more or less 3 weeks. In terms of disgorgement, this was disgorged in July 2019 after a long aging on lees. This aging on lees, 11 years, give the wine is incredible complexity. For the dosage, this was agreed by our tasting committee, as usual in blind testing, and we chose the extra brut dosage, 6 grams per liter, made with liquor from Pinot Noir Reserve. Before talking about the testing, a few words about the harvest. 2007 was an early harvest, characterized by early starting for the vegetation, and also an early blooming, and after that mild climate, mild temperature until end of July. So it was August harvest, 22nd for all of the champagne, but us, for all this Grand Cru, this Premier Cru, in this blend, we wait the 10th September to pick up the grapes. And then we had the white maturity, and the level of malic acid were very low, less than 4 grams per liter. So we could block 60% of the malolactic of the blend. I'm going to pour my glass. Let's go to the tasting. If you were here, you could hear the bubble singing. It's very impressive. Huh? So look, we have a pale golden color with bright reflection. The bubbles are so lively, so fun, so energetic. What a bubble. It's an invitation to smell the wine on the nose. Wow, what a nose. The cuvée develop very fresh aromas, blooming notes of blueberry, Nancy Mirabelle, that mean fleshy, sweety, and greedy plumes, but also flower, a touch of flower, ozone. And after that, we have a little bit of funnel. It is a little bit anisé. We have a perfect juicy aspect. And after that, with aeration, you have a light truffle, melted butter, will give to the nose incredible complexity. And it's so fresh. You have meat, no? Wonderful. Let's test the wine on the palate. Wow, what an attack. Huh? So creamy. We have smoothness. And then you have melted butter, toasted almond, will give the meat palate a great amplitude. After that, the most stretches on fine notes, limestone, give a pure and refreshing touch, citrus aromas, and again, hint of mint, very fresh, very intense, very good. For the pairing, I recommend to take it with grilled lobster or seafood, and then the match between the minerality, the freshness of the wine, and the noble texture of the dish will be perfect. For me, it is so energetic. This one is crazy. For me, it's like 1985. And for me, it's a huge Nicolas François. Welcome to the world of Nicolas François. So I'm going to hand over to Mathieu, who is going to present you the cartography of the founder. Take care, stay safe.
Florent likes it so much that he didn't even give me a glass. That's how much he loves it. Cheers, Florent.
It's
right. That's all right, don't worry. So, as Florent mentioned, before we move to the questions, I wanted to tell you about some additional information we've posted on our website, which we've called a vintage map. So the idea behind all of this is that obviously as at Billecart, we feel very strongly that we need to provide you with the very best tasting experience. The vast majority of the effort is translated into all the effort to put it to make exceptional wines. But, you know, we also know that you guys have all very different tastes to one another. And that's what makes life interesting. And that's also the reason why we produce 11 cuvées, because some of you are Blanc de Blanc fan, others are Rosé. And frankly, some people are fan of both, of all of it. It depends on the time of the day. However, there is one key characteristic where we think we can help you further, which is to try and understand the evolution of certain cuvées, particularly the founders' cuvée, Nicolas François, Billecart-Salmon and Louis Salmon, because they are the ones that are designed for aging. They can be enjoyed straight away, as Florent mentioned, but they can also age further, 10, 20, 30, 40 sometimes. Florent has put a lot of work in to try and categorize the evolution of these cuvées into 5 stages. We have the freshness stage, the blooming stage, the spicy stage, maturity and complexity. It's all written very small, but you will be able to find all of that when you go into our website and the description of each of the cuvées. But to tell you a little more, so for example, the 2007 that we're tasting today is in the freshness stage. The 2006 that you will be able to find more readily with your independent wine merchants or through the various channels you get your Billecart from is in the blooming stage. For those of you that know a little bit about 2002, you are in the spicy stage, so is 96, but you will see the difference here. 2002, we say aging potential more than 20 years. Can't see that there. And 96, we think is more between 10 and 20. The wines in maturity stage are ones like the 1990 or 1998, for example. That's got there, you saw, sooner. And then for the big complexity stage, you're looking at things like 1989. So really, we were thinking of a number of you. We know some of you know this cuvée very well, but sometimes you have 2 or 3 bottles and you just wonder whether it's the right time to open. Well, with this, we're trying to make this a little bit easier and more transparent with you. So really, our idea behind this vintage mapping, and Florent, I can't emphasize, had to go through the hard job of retasting them all during lockdown. You know, he has a tough job. Yes. But it's really a way for you to better understand the evolution, to guide you as to what to open when. For example, you know, I've been advocating to many people, drink your 06, lay down your 2002. Hopefully that makes it very clear. It's also, I think, a way to learn about your own taste. So for example, if you ask me, I am in my Nicolas François personal taste, I like my wines between spices and maturity. Not so much complexity for me. This is going a little far for my personal taste. But I've learned that because I've opened many bottles of Nicolas François. And hopefully this helps talk between us and help you find what's the optimal stage for you so you get maximum pleasure. And also designed to be a fun guide for people that, you know, I know some of you, I saw Christopher was on the line. He's the king of verticals. So I think it'll be an interesting comparison for some of you. So if you put the 06 next to 07, maybe you'll understand better what we mean by freshness and blooming and maybe some other variation. The whole idea is we help you get optimal sort of pleasure from tasting this cuvée. Is it possible to get it in Japan? Absolutely. It's on our website today. So we put it on the website since this morning so that you can all have it. So I just wanted to, since we had the opportunity, to share that with you. So here is for our vintage mapping, and you'll find it on Nicolas François, Louis Salmon and Billecart-Salmon. I hope you like it. Certainly for us, we're trying to find that as a helpful guide for you all. We're not going to move to the questions. Some of you were kind enough to send them to us in advance, so we had time to prepare. So that's good. We'll try and share it with Florent. I give Florent all the difficult ones and I keep the easy ones for me. So the first one, Florent, was your perspective on Nicolas François 2007, aging potential. What do you think?
I think when you have this type of wine, very balanced, very fresh, very pure aromas, you can keep it for 20 years maybe. And the energy of this wine is crazy. I think you can have it on the freshness, but it will age very well. For me, it's echo to 85.
Okay. So the second question, which was a little harder, so Florent said you do that one, was from Yuri asking us to describe in 3 adjectives Cuvée 2007, but also Nicolas François 2006, as this is the one you'll find more readily, I think, across the world by the time, because 2007 will take a little time to get there. So 2006, my 3 words would be richness, maturity, and it's 2 words, immediate pleasure. 06 is a sort of open and pour, great wine, great pleasure in this, what we call the blooming stage, where you get the benefit of a maturity for a wine that you haven't had to age that extra 10, 20 years to get there. So a real sort of pleasure wine. 2007 is quite different. 2007, I would say freshness, because Florent has told you all about the freshness of this wine. Length, because the sign of 2007 for me is that this has a very long finish, very clean, very mineral. I think that's a characteristic of all the 07s we made. And potential, because we feel that it will go through all of the stages of maturity that we talked about. So that's the answer for Yuri. And then the other question we had was a comment which I can summarize as 2007, maybe not as a reputation of not being as big a vintage as 2008. Yet, for Billecart, we've made our 3 prestige cuvées, which is very rare. So Florent, what's your perspective of 07 generally?
2007 is a huge vintage. And because we take the time to pick up the grapes, to do the fermentation during 3 weeks, and with the long aging on lees, we took all we need to make a great wine. And I remember after the alcoholic fermentation, so the wine were so juicy, so fresh, so crispy, and very well balanced, that I know at this step that they could be very good, and 2007 is very good for me.
Thank you, Florent. Look, candidly, we wouldn't have made these bottles, these founders bottle, if we didn't believe the wines were exceptional. So we have a great degree of confidence on 2007, and a number of you have heard me say before, this is underrated, and people will kick themselves for having missed it. 08 is huge. There's absolutely no question about it, but I think 07 is not as far from 08 as people think. That's certainly for Billecart-Salmon anyway, in the perspective.